Yo, what's going on, guys? We are back for another JJK chapter, and this one is a banger because Sukuna is just pulling out everything at this point. Like, this man's really going crazy, but we just got to get right into it because we started off with the little editor comment on the top saying, "The hands of the devil finally reach him. Gojo is pushed to the brink." And yeah, Gojo is sort of being pushed a lot near the end of this chapter. Like, it gets pretty wild, but either way, we start off with Gojo and he's fighting Maharaga. Maharaga is sort of fully adapted to Infinity. He can bypass its effect right now. And Gojo basically has to block with cursed energy hardening or something like that because, you know, you can block with your cursed energy. And then we get the whole crew talking about, oh shit, like, he ain't finished yet, and I think they're talking about Gojo, but we have Shoko coming, I think, talking about how, like, even if Maharaga adapts to Infinity, like, they're on equal footing, sort of, but, like, Gojo's injured, and he's not really, like, regenerating as fast as he was before, so Shoko sort of theorizes that his curse energy output is, like, definitely dropping, and that, you know, he might be in trouble, but Shoko's like, oh no, sorry guys, Sukuna definitely has some of the same injury, like the brain damage as Gojo, so he should be sort of in the same boat. And then we have the text box come in and it's talking about how, you know, even against the strongest of all time, the king of curses, the idea that was really somewhat impossible sort of seeped into everybody's mind, and it was the idea that Gojo might lose. And it even continues to say that Gojo sort of got the idea that he might lose too. So we have Gojo, he's like gripping his arm and he's talking about how long has it been? And he's thinking about Toji at this point, and I swear Gege is just like coming up with more excuses to put Toji in the manga because whenever he can like talk about him or say something about him, he just does, because I'm pretty sure Gege just loves Toji. I mean, who doesn't? He is the GOAT. But either way, Gojo's talking about like, yeah, that really goes without saying. The last time I went all out was against Toji. At least I think he's talking about Toji when he says like, well, that goes without saying. But either way, we have the text boxes come back in and they're talking about how like, and yet signs of defeat were showing. There was a much more like intense feeling, and that was satisfaction. The satisfaction that, you know, he's not lonely anymore. That like the absolute strength that he had that was like so much crazier than everybody else that he couldn't really see anybody like as a direct peer, especially after Ghetto. So like he's being satisfied. Pause. That's what the TCB scan says. He's being satisfied by like Maharaga, and at least this fight where Gojo, he's throwing more hands at Maharaga, he's sort of pushing him back, and he's like doing these chants. And we know back, I think like before earlier during like Utahime's part, like at the start of this fight where she was doing dances and Gakuganji was like doing like chants and stuff, like they were getting ready to like max out the output of Gojo's like attacks. And basically, the more chanting you do, the more rituals and stuff you do, the stronger your jujitsu will be. And the stronger sorcerer you are, the less of that stuff you need. And I'm pretty sure you guys probably wouldn't know that stuff because like you look at Gojo, he does like one hand movement and that's his entire like attack. And most people like to do something even like on that, like near that level, would have to like do like entire rituals that like probably like last days and stuff. So we see Gojo, he's doing chants and he's basically regaining his like curse technique output. Like he's getting more stamina basically, and he's talking about he's about to do his curse technique reversal. He's about to shoot his red off. And then Sukuna, he's lurking in the shadows and he like pops up with like the rabbit surprise thing. I think that's what it's called. But out of the shadows, a bunch of rabbits come out and Gojo's like, oh, looks like my Black Flash did a real number on you. Just what I sort of expected. And can Gojo do Black Flash like intentionally or like willingly? Because we know like earlier during Shibuya and a little bit before that and stuff, that Black Flashes are pretty unintentional. You can't really do them on purpose, but like knowing Gojo and knowing the effects of doing a Black Flash where you get more in tune with like the idea of cursed energy and your own cursed energy. Like you learn this like true secrets, like true nature of cursed energy. Definitely Gojo, he knows everything about cursed energy. He can like literally see it at all times. Like I'm gonna guess that he knows how to do Black Flash like on like purpose. Like he can do it whenever he wants. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if sometimes he tried to do it and he couldn't, just because he like wasn't fully focused or in the heat of the moment. But at least we can theorize he could, and I'm pretty sure we gotta see Sukuna do a Black Flash too. That would just be like insane. Like maybe they're just throwing hands, Black Flash after Black Flash. That would just be like, that would be crazy. I mean, I think that would be something a lot of the fans would like to see. Just hand-to-hand combat, just throwing Black Flashes like repeatedly, like 20 in a row or some shit. Like, you know, it would be like, it'd get like to the point where we had in the first part of this fight where the domain expansions were getting spammed and people were like, fuck domain expansions. People are going to be like, fuck Black Flashes. But I fuck with Black Flashes heavy. But either way, we have Gojo talking about how much longer are you going to rest for? And then he shoots his red out. But I'm pretty sure it misses Mahoraga and Sukuna because they like run away through this like building area. And Gojo's thinking about how Mahoraga has definitely adapted to his infinity. So he's going to be on the offense. And this is just Gojo like theorizing and strategizing for what he's going to do next. And he's saying like, okay, like, and to make sure Mahoraga doesn't like get destroyed in one hit, Sukuna's gonna like sort of be the bodyguard. And while he's making openings, Sukuna, like Mahoraga will easily be able to attack me and stuff like that. So Gojo basically thinks that they're gonna like double team him and stuff like that, but Sukuna like throws a fire extinguisher at him and like blows up, and they basically start attacking again. But like Mahoraga comes from the top, and Sukuna, he does like a long range attack where he puts his hands together. We see Choso say, "Is that piercing blood?" And he shoots a stream of water out of his hands, just like a piercing blood. It like breaks the sound barrier. You can see like the little ripple and stuff. But this is from Maximum Elephant or Max Elephant because Sukuna just basically channeled its ability to use water into his hands. And obviously later Gojo talks about this, but it basically goes and hits Gojo in the arm, and he does get hit by this. He's sort of bleeding through the rest of this chapter on, I think, one of his arms at least. But Mahoraga takes this opportunity, starts swinging again, and they go back at it, and Gojo starts dodging and stuff, thinking about how like, so he isn't devoting himself to like supporting Mahoraga, you know, making sure he doesn't get destroyed. He's just like waiting for openings from Mahoraga to hit me. And this just means it's like good old 2-on-1 where they're both creating openings for each other, Mahoraga and Sukuna, to basically like inflict damage on Gojo. You know, Mahoraga is gonna like negate infinity while Sukuna like deals damage, and either way around they're both gonna like go after him. But Sukuna has something else planned, like in a little bit. But Gojo starts thinking about how like usually you shouldn't be able to use the Shikigami's powers without actually summoning them. So like my idea is like maybe Sukuna like summoned a little part of like the Max Elephant, or like he made it like really tiny and unleashed all its water, but like just did it in his hands, which could be interesting because, you know, we saw Gojo like make his domain expansion small. Maybe like Sukuna and the 10 Shadows ability is able to. Also, real quick, if you guys are liking the content, want new chapter reviews each week and more videos, just please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Back to the video. But either way, Gojo keeps talking about how like, I mean, like he used Max Elephant to create a piercing blood. Like this dude's as like crafty and as like clever as me. And I mean, this is sort of like an underhanded but also like really good compliment where like Gojo's saying that, yo, this dude's as like clever as me, like in these fights, which, you know, we can definitely see more admiration growing for Sukuna from Gojo. And I think the other way around too, where like Sukuna might start like enjoying this fight more, where he's mostly just been looking down on Gojo through this entire fight because he knows a 10 Shadows user was able to take down a 6 Eyes user with Limitless. So, you know, he knows what the counters are, and he's been sort of confident this entire time while Gojo's been sort of clapping him up. But he's been just sort of, you know, relaxing. I feel like he's gonna have to go all out soon. But Gojo continues to think about like, unless he applies, you know, his Shikigami to the outside of his domain, he won't be able to use the shrine at the same time. So he basically has to use the other Shikigami, other than Mahoraga, to like create like openings against infinity and stuff. And then Gojo's like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to use red. He's talking about how like it should take longer to adapt to red, like compared to just me going through all of my abilities and having them being like adapted to by Mahoraga. So he basically is like, I'm just gonna go with red at this point. But Sukuna has another plan because he says, don't misunderstand, boy. This ain't a 2-on-1 no more. And he puts his hands together and summons Nue Totality. So we've heard the name Totality before, and this one is sort of crazy because the last one was both the dogs combined, and this one is Fusion Beast Agito or Agito. I'm not sure. It looks a lot like a Ion from Bleach. Like I guess it's just like a big like chimera sort of thing. Like it's just like a hulking behemoth sort of female looking thing with Nue's mask. It's got like these branching like I guess horns that are made out of shadows. And it's got like the wings on the arms, it looks like, and then it's got a snake like coming out of its ass. So I'm not sure if it's a combination of Nue and something else, maybe the demon dogs and then the snake. I'm not sure, but it's big. It's almost as big as Mahoraga, if not like a little bit beefier. But we can see like it clearly in the double page where Sukuna's just like, it's a 3-on-1, baby. Like, come on. And the reason why I think this is also like the dogs mixed in is because the legs of this like Nue thing is like, it looks like a dog leg. So I'm just gonna guess that he put the rest of them, like all of like Megumi's regular Shikigami, into one to make this one. And then he's gonna like save like the deer and the bull and the elephant probably just for like actually using because they're pretty strong. But either way, Gojo makes a little joke at Sukuna and the fight starts, and it's basically like really hectic from here on out with both of these like behemoths just attacking Gojo while Gojo sort of just runs away and dodges. But we see Sukuna, he goes into the shadows, and like this is like so cool where he's like on his back like flowing through the shadows while like Gojo like dashed away, and underneath him he's gonna fire another piercing blood attack. I guess it's a piercing water attack, I'm not sure, but it's definitely not a one-time thing. He's gonna keep using this attack, and I would love to see the history between like Sukuna and the Kamo clan, because maybe he was like involved with them somehow and he knows about the piercing blood attacks, he knows about blood manipulation, and he's like, this is really strong. I mean, big 3 worthy. But either way, Gojo sort of like dodges the attack and punches the ground, and Sukuna gets away. And then we have Gojo like being attacked by both of these giant monsters, and he like dodges it in between their fists, and it's just like well choreographed like Gege always does. But during this fight, he's not really having that much of a problem fighting them, but like still his like curse technique has been drained a little bit, so he still can't go maximum output. Like, and he might have started a little bit strong at the start, but either way, he like dodges these attacks and he's like red, and then fires a red right at Mahoraga and this other thing, and it looks like it does some damage. But then Mahoraga turns his head to look at Gojo, and he's like, oh fuck, it was a little bit effective, but I don't think another one would do much. And then Gojo realizes like the wheel hasn't spun. I'm pretty sure he realizes it, and he thinks, well, he only took 1 hit from red head on and he hasn't adapted. So is this ability like on a scale, or is it like binary, which like a binary would mean like when he gets attacked, he adapts, like it's on or off. While like if it's on a scale of like 0 to 100, you know, it's like a percentage where like the stronger the ability, the harder it is for Mahoraga to fully adapt to it. Where I sort of envision it as like a game, like video game bar, where like he needs to fill it up to be able to adapt to it, and like he's only at like 3/4 right now, and he needs to get hit by another red to like fill it up and fully adapt to it. Where I'm not sure if that is like fully what it is, but that's sort of what I'm thinking and what I sort of have thought about like for his ability. Because in Shibuya against Sukuna, 1 slashing attack was like it, that's all he needed to adapt, and he could completely block it. He didn't feel it at all. Like Mahoraga was completely tanking the slashes after that. That was really easy, and I think that's for a couple of reasons. Where 1, I think it's a really simple attack, so it's really easy to like adapt to, and like all of Gojo's attacks, no matter how like weak or strong they are, they're really complex, and like you gotta like go through a lot of different types of like cursed energy, and very hard to I guess like adapt to, I guess, because I mean we know like Gojo's like his abilities have to do with like invisible numbers or like imaginary numbers and like shit that doesn't really exist. But either way, I definitely think that the Mahoraga can adapt to really strong abilities, but it just takes a few hits, and that's why it took him a while to adapt to Limitless, because Limitless is just built different. But Gojo keeps thinking about how like, well, I guess I just have to take out Mahoraga in 1 hit, but like I am gonna have to use that thing. And he's talking about how like Sukuna's on his back foot, he's on the defensive right now, he's playing sort of cautiously. And then Gojo says like the fact that they're like coming up to me, trying to close the distance, attack me hand to hand, means that like, you know, they're not really trying to like adapt to my red, I guess, or prioritizing my red, which means that I got no other choice right now. And he says, I gotta settle it. I gotta use my hollow technique. And we know it's purple. Like, even if you ended the chapter off like 3 sentences ago, we would have known it would have been purple, because like, it's just Gojo, bro. That's the strongest attack. Like, I don't know if there's anything stronger that he's got than purple. No, I mean, truly, there's probably nothing that's like stronger than purple in the world, maybe. But either way, we end the chapter off. I'm not sure if there's a break, but Sukuna and Gojo are both bloodied at the end of this. Like, Gojo's got blood on the side of his face. Sukuna's got blood on the side of his face. Like, they both like got busted up body parts. Like, Gojo's got like blood all over one of his arms and stuff. Like, this fight is definitely reaching an area where these guys are gonna get beat the fuck up, and like, we might lose body parts, we might lose like eyes and stuff. Like, this stuff might get really serious, but from what we have seen, Gojo and Sukuna are having a great time. Like, the end of every chapter is either like one of them smiling or one of them like knocked out or like on the back foot or something, because we end off this chapter with Gojo. He's got a nice grin on his face and he's like going in to attack again. Like, he's ready to use purple, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start off the next chapter with the purple attack and Gojo charging it up, you know, because it takes a little bit to charge. So I think the next chapter will be him using purple. Maybe it won't work, or maybe it destroys the new A thing, but I mean, Mahoraga might adapt to that and Gojo's like out of luck. Or maybe it's something that it's so strong that Mahoraga can't adapt to it and he just gets fucked up in one shot. And that's sort of what we're hoping for, because Gojo said before he can one-shot Mahoraga, and that's the only reason Sukuna wasn't using him earlier, because he was scared he just might get one-shotted and Maharaga's off the playing field for the rest of the fight. So basically at this point, we're going in for the kill in Mahoraga, and it's either gonna work or it's not. We'll definitely see next week or the week after, but I hope there's no break. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate if you made it this far. Please let me know the best part of this chapter. Was it like the hand-to-hand fighting? Was it like the red? Was it like Gojo just thinking about shit? Because we know Gojo's smart and he definitely comes up with some good strategies. But thank you guys again for watching. I really appreciate it. And subscribe if you like the video too. I'd very much so appreciate that too, because I'd give you good shit and you'd give me, I mean, nothing really, but it's okay. But either way, thank you guys for watching, and peace.